Now, that Strauss waltz may well be the essence of the Viennese spirit, but in all seriousness, we must admit that it doesn't go very deeply into the Viennese soul. Let's say that it represents Vienna faithfully, but superficially. When we come to speak of Viennese music in terms of the symphony orchestra, especially one as noble as the Vienna Philharmonic, we must start thinking of a whole other list of names. Actually, the great composers of Vienna present themselves in three groups. The first, pre-Johann Strauss, is a group of four tremendous names: Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, and Schubert. Incredible names. And these are the patron saints of Vienna, the Holy Forefathers. And a few decades later began a new period of glory with a group of four new tremendous names: Brahms, Bruckner, Mahler, and Richard Strauss, no relation to Johann. And this blessed foursome takes us right up to our own century and to the latest three world shakers in Vienna: Schoenberg, Berg, and Webern. Now, that's a formidable list of names, and obviously we can't plow through all of them in this one concert, but we can play some of their music and recall some of the moments of their glory. And I propose to do this not in a school teacherish way, after all this is a birthday party, but rather in the spirit of Johann Strauss, in terms of that magical Viennese formula known as Dreiviertel Takt, which means three-quarter time. We've already started with three-quarter time in our waltz. Let's stick to it and see how it's used by some of the immortals of Viennese music. I think you'll find it fascinating stuff. Take Mozart, for example. Now, there was no such thing as a waltz in Mozart's time, but the seeds were there from which the waltz was going to spring. These seeds came in two varieties. One, the rustic peasant dances, variously known as German dances, country dances, or Ländler. That's a marvelous word, Ländler, meaning from the land, or the earth, or the countryside. Rustic. The Ländler still lives on in those hip-slapping numbers that Tyroleans and Bavarians still perform with such glee in quaint movies and restaurants. I'm sure you've all seen them. Hup-za-za, hup-za-za. At any rate, you can't fail to notice they're in three-quarter time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, the other variety is the exact opposite of this. It's the elegant, aristocratic court dance known as the minuet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No hup-za-za here. All very courtly. Now, Mozart availed himself of this minuet form to a large degree, but being a good Austrian countryman as well, he made equal use of the old rustic Ländler. So first we're going to play you a Mozart Ländler and then a Mozart minuet so that you can hear the difference. This Ländler we're going to play is Mozart's most famous one, with a particularly charming middle section that features sleigh bells, suggesting a winter scene in the country, sleigh ride and all. Here it is. Okay, that is one side of Mozart in three-quarter time. The lusty, earthy Mozart we know so well from his private letters. But Mozart was also elegance itself, a natural product of the sophisticated and gracefully mannered court life of his time. And this grace is reflected in all his music, especially in his minuets. You see, it had become a custom in Mozart's time to include a minuet in every symphony just before the last movement. And this minuet had to be in a definite form, a simple three-part structure in which the first part and the third parts were identical. And the middle section is known as the trio, because originally in the old minuets, it used to be played by three solo instruments, a trio. Now, that's no longer true, but the name trio has stuck, designating the middle section of a minuet or a march or a polka or whatever. So the whole thing is in a very clear A-B-A form, which you may now easily follow as we play you the graceful minuet movement from Mozart's Jupiter Symphony.